Chapter 1. Beasts Break Free. The night was thick with the scent of damp earth and iron, the kind of darkness that clung to the streets of Cape Town like a second skin. It was 1887, and the zoo, a place of curiosity and colonial pride, stood as a fortress of caged wonders, its iron bars glinting under the flicker of gas lamps. But tonight the fortress would fail. The first sound was a groan of metal, then a snap sharp as a gunshot. A keeper's lantern swung wildly as he stumbled back, his boots skidding on the wet cobblestones. The lion had been restless all evening, pacing its enclosure with a predator's patience. Now it moved. A shadow detached itself from the darkness, sleek and silent, until the bars gave way with a shudder. The beast was free. Panic didn't come all at once. It crept in like a fever, starting with the distant bark of a dog, then the shouts of men running through the zoo's winding paths. The lion didn't roar, it didn't need to. Its presence was enough. The air itself seemed to, with the weight of its movement, the brush of fur against stone, the click of claws on pavement. By the time the first screams reached the city proper, the beast was already gone, slipping into the labyrinth of alleys and tenements where the poorest of Cape Town slept. The zoo's gates stood wide open, a mockery of man's control over nature. The keepers, pale and shaking, could only stare at the empty cage, the broken lock, and the single drop of blood on the ground, whether animal or human. No one dared guess. Dawn brought the reckoning. The city woke to a nightmare. A butcher's apprentice was found near the docks, his throat torn open, his body half dragged into the shadows. A child's toy lay abandoned in the street, its strings tangled in the mud. The lion had not just escaped, it had hunted. The newspapers called it a monster. The clergy called it divine punishment. But the truth was simpler and far more damning. The beast had been caged for years in a pen too small, fed scraps from the slaughterhouse, its spirit worn down by the whip and the whip alone. The zoo's director, a man with a monocle and a ledger full of profits, insisted it was an accident. The bars had rusted, he said. The lock had failed. But the keepers whispered differently. They spoke of a lion that had once been a king, now reduced to a spectacle for pennies. And then there was the lawyer, a man named Elias Voss, sharp-eyed and sharper-tongued, who saw in the chaos an opportunity to expose more than just a broken cage. He had defended the poor before, the forgotten, the ones the law preferred to ignore. Now he would defend the beast. The trial would become a spectacle in itself, a courtroom packed with spectators, the air thick with the scent of sweat and ink. The prosecutor, a man named Haraway, would call a lion a menace, a threat to civilization. Boss would call it a victim. The evidence, a ledger showing the zoo's profits, a letter from a former keeper fired for refusing to starve the animals, a single, damning photograph, the lion years before, its mane wild and proud, before the bars had taken its spirit. But the lion itself would never speak. It was still out there, somewhere in the city, a ghost in the alleys, a shadow in the night. And as the trial unfolded, the question lingered, who was truly on trial? The beast or the men who had caged it? The answer would come in blood, and so the stage was set. The city held its breath, and the lion, somewhere in the dark, waited.